just arrived here in Moscow. To get to the VDNK, I'm going to be using the metro again. Moscow has one of the longest metro systems in the world if you combine all lines, and you can really feel it when you're transferring places. It takes minutes. The escalators down take minutes as well because they double as bomb shelters. There's so many passageways and passengers that it's easy to get lost if it's your first time. Luckily, it's my second time. So we made it to the outside of town here at the Cosmo Park. I think we might start with the Cosmonautics Museum right here. Wow, so here we're looking at authentic space equipment from the Soviet Union times. This isn't stuff they had to replicate because this is where it's from. Being here reminds me of my childhood. Oh, I would go to museums with my mother or with proctors, teachers, and they would tell us everything about the world without having to go to space ourselves. And these little kids over here, they're learning, they're excited. I heard a girl just say, "Oh, I know, to regulate the external temperatures of outer space in the cosmos." That was me growing up, just excited about everything. If you're going to outer space back in the Soviet Union times, this would have been your hotel for a night or two. Still better than a Ramada. See? We can all be friends. Absolutely wonderful museum and equally beautiful weather. That gave me a lot of nostalgia to when I lived in Munich for the better part of a year. In the Deutsches Museum, there's also a cosmonautics exhibit, and there's a lot of stuff from the USSR times and America. But this one has a better focus on the USSR things, which was very fascinating for me as someone that loves that era in history, the space race. And now we continue on to the more ethnic parts of the VDNK. As you can see behind me, there's a huge monitor displaying all the different regions and oblasts of Russia and their cultural traits. And in here, we should be able to see some of them with our own eyes on the pavilions. So long story short, Russia seems to be very proud of the advancements they're making in technology, culture, science, and animal preservation. So now I'm going to go into the pavilion where all of the different regions have a little special spot to represent themselves. So it seems we're starting with the Far East, with Kamchatka here, and Yakutia right in front of me. Kamchatka is most certainly on the bucket list. That right there was the jaw harp, which is very popular in Yakutia, one of the northernmost regions of the country, also home to some of the coldest cities in the world. Here's the pavilion for Primorsky Krai, which is home to Vladivostok, the end of the Trans-Siberian Railroad. You can see here it's quite urban, and it's right on the border of North Korea as well. Just to picture how big Russia is, I'm closer right now to Norway than I am to North Korea. And this is for the Yiddish Autonomous Oblast, the Jewish Autonomous Oblast. Up there it says Yiddish Autonomaya Otsganot, and that, and right up there it says Yiddish Autonomaya. It's a tiny little oblast created for the Jews after World War II, right above China. Even though it's called the Jewish Autonomous Oblast, there's less than maybe 1,500 Jews in total still living there to this day. Now we've reached Nenets, which is located in the very, very, very far north of Russia. I've always been fascinated by this part of Russia because traditionally this is where reindeer herding took place. And while the weather itself is not perfect for a nice honeymoon getaway, it does make up for it in the beautiful nature and the cultures there. There are languages in their own isolated groups like Nenetsk, and I would love to visit one day, but it's a very cold and inhospitable place that takes quite the journey to reach. The only Buddhist republic in Europe, and also they are masters of chess, and they have a very interesting Mongolic language which is written top down. So there you have it. The pavilion showcases every krai and region here in Russia, and I hope you guys liked it as much as I did. Also, I gotta make a comment about the weather. Perfect sun on a day like this. No wonder why everyone's out. Before I go, I got some blinichki, which are pancakes with deer inside. Good as always. So I've been walking for quite some time, and I think I ended up in East Asia. I'm not sure, but I do know I need to go west from here. Either way. You know, a lot of people ask me what it's like to not be white in Russia. And the thing is, Moscow is quite an international city. So you'll actually see a lot of black brothers coming around, especially from Africa. Maybe they're here for a sports tournament or just living here, working here. So it's not really something shocking for people in a city like Moscow or St. Petersburg, where it's quite international. Lots of people from the West, from Africa, from Asia, you name it. But if you go into the provinces, into villages, it might be more of a shock, which I have experienced a little, but generally people are more just curious than anything. It'd be like seeing someone that's purple for the first time. You'd want to know what's going on. You've heard about these people, but you've never seen them with your own eyes. You'd be curious, and that's the sort of sentiment I get when I'm in rural parts of the former USSR. But here in Moscow, this is the wonderful thing about traveling in Russia during sanctions. So I have about $70 left, 7,000 rubles or something like that. But I have to save some for my hotel in St. Petersburg. I also have to make sure I can eat tonight, the day after, and I'm here till Monday. So right now, I'm budgeting the last of my rubles to make sure that I have enough sustenance to last me until at least Monday morning. Sadly, guys, I've fallen on hard times. I'm out of money, so I'm gonna have to go to вкусно точка. Вкусно точка means delicious, period. So that's where I'll have to eat dinner tonight. It's basically just McDonald's replacement ever since sanctions. And now it's time to eat at the Golden Arches. Well, I wouldn't really call them arches, more like diagonal sticks.
As you can see, it's the exact same thing.
The funny thing is that вкусно точка is somewhere you'd go on a Friday night here. It's more of a nice outing, and it is currently Friday, so that's exactly what's going on. tastes the exact same. So I just finished my вкусно точка. It was вкусно, but yeah, точка. I can't say much more about it. That was a wrap to my Moscow adventures. I'm gonna check out the Red Square at night. First thing in the morning tomorrow, I take a train back to St. Petersburg. So I found the most amazing grocery store here in the GUM. They have just about anything you could ever want. Here they have exotic meats. Right here, beaver. Right here, pheasant, deer, ram, elk, bear, horse, bunny, boar. Yeah, elk fat, for example. Man, I was just walking through here and I realized I have to share this with you because this might be the most beautiful commoners grocery store I've ever seen. Here, the Beluga, a noble Russian vodka. It'll run you about $7,000. The luxury in this city is undeniable. One thing that's very beloved here in Russia is honey. If I had money still, I would be buying everything in this shop. From the honey to the exotic meats and fats and chocolates. And I don't even eat any of those things on a normal day-to-day. But just to have them. If I were a bee, I'd want my work to end up right here. This is only $1. I think I can afford it still. When I come back here though. So, if you ever want to get your grocery shopping done here in Moscow in style, come to this place, right in the GUM. So that's a wrap on part 1 of my journey throughout Russia. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and make sure to keep learning languages, and as always, God bless. Добро пожаловать из Москвы.